everybody. Welcome back to another episode with a Wild Thoughts podcast. Yes. So today we're back with another episode basically about boundaries, but we're going to be doing it more specifically towards romantic relationships.
So if you guys want like an overview of boundaries in general, you can go to our boundaries episode. But yeah, like Afi said, we're going to do it more towards romantic relationships and why it's important to have boundaries in your relationships.
Exactly. So we have the question
of the week. So we asked you guys, what's the most important boundary to set in a romantic relationship? So we got a few responses. So first, no shouldn't be taken negatively. Instead, there should be communication. Oh, okay, that's very true.
Yeah.
Like the most important boundary is the ability to say no, I find. We didn't include it in our list because we really spoke about it in our first episode.
Exactly.
But yeah, you have to be comfortable saying no and not just like accepting anything just because you want to please your partner.
Yeah, exactly. And just because you're in a romantic relationship.
Exactly. Okay, being able to still hang out with my friends alone. That's a big one.
Yeah, like why would you not be able to do that?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of relationships where it's like, okay, well, I'm your best friend too, so why aren't I like coming with you? Why aren't we hanging out all together?
Okay.
Like you still need separate friends.
Yeah, exactly. And I saw that in our research that we did.
Yeah. Sexual consent. We have this on our list. We're going to talk about it later. Not being each other's therapist. That's big one.
Yes, I like the way that was said.
Yeah. There's a lot of relationships I find that like they just use each other for emotional dumping, and like if the other person isn't ready for that,
it's draining, dude. And I feel like it could really hinder.
Ooh, okay, big words.
Shout out to Mr. Ellinger's English classes. I feel like it could hinder the relationship or make them possibly resent. I feel like we always say that, but it does lead to resentment.
Yeah. Where did we talk about emotional dumping? We had that in an episode.
Yes, we talked about emotional dumping versus like venting. I don't know what season it was, but it was specifically just emotional dumping and venting. Like that was the episode.
We had an episode on that?
Yeah, pretty sure.
Well,
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, we did.
We'll link it
like
below.
A whole episode.
Yeah.
Us forgetting.
Okay. And then creating time to be alone or separate from each other okay, that was not English. To do things that you want to do and have me time. That's a big one. I have that on my list too.
Yes. Agreed. Good. That's really important.
Nick sent that in, so good job, boyfriend.
Good job, Nick.
Okay, let's get into it.
Dive into it. Well, I think firstly, in general, we can kind of define why it's important to have these boundaries, especially in your romantic relationships. And the first thing that when doing research we found is that it allows boundaries basically define like ownership and responsibility. So it basically allows you to take accountability for what's yours in the relationship. So the way I interpret this is that so ownership and blame kind of go hand in hand, because if you do not set your boundaries, you tend to blame your partner for things that they do that are maybe passing your boundaries, but you haven't expressed them. So your partner isn't aware of them, but you still tend to blame them because the boundaries are in your head. Yeah. So you still create that resentment. However, they don't know about it. You can't necessarily blame them for it, but it tends to happen. But my understanding is that if you don't tell your partner your boundaries, then you're not taking ownership of your limits, basically. So that's how I understand ownership and blame. And there are no lines, so you can't blame your partner for not respecting them. So that's how I view it. When you do set your boundaries, your partner basically owns the responsibility of respecting them, and they can't blame you for miscommunicating. So that's how I see like ownership and blame, if that makes sense.
I think I have something similar where I'm saying, I think this makes more sense.
Yeah. So maybe say your way.
Yeah, where you need to vocalize your expectations of the other person. Yeah. Because if they don't know what you're expecting of them and what, like, the expectations can be both ways. It's either you expect them to do something or you expect them to respect a boundary. And if you don't vocalize those expectations, then you're never going to feel fulfilled. And they're going to always be like, they're never enough. They're trying to catch up to you because you haven't vocalized what you expect from them.
Exactly. Yeah, that makes sense.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that makes sense. Sorry if my little explanation was confusing. Okay. boundaries basically like create a line and define where you and your partner start and stop, because you need that in every relationship, because everyone has I think we said this a lot, but like everybody has different types of boundaries, because if they were the same, then you wouldn't need to really discuss. They were universally like everyone had, no, but everyone has different ones. It could be based off of like trauma, environment, past events, things like that. So
yeah. And you have to set them in order to like have respect in the relationship. Exactly. Or else like someone's always gonna be resenting the other.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? Like the answers that were said in the question of the week, you need space and time alone, and that's gonna help enforce autonomy, because you have to do things on your own. Like that's just life. And it's also gonna help you be less codependent on your partner, because if you're always doing stuff together, then like it builds an expectation that's like, okay, we're always going to be together. We're always going to do this together. We're always going to have to watch movies together. We always have to cook together. We always have to go out together. It's like, no, you still need a separate part of your life just for yourself, for your activities, for you to spend time with friends. Like that was said also. So
yeah, and that's a boundary, and you need that. And actually, later on, we'll talk about like some different types of boundaries, more specific, but this was kind of in the emotional and maybe physical, but like being able to like be your own support also, and not always depend on your partner, like codependency, because it's not healthy. And
no, you have to be your own person, or else like you're not going to be able to live life.
Exactly. Other examples of healthy boundaries that will just help your relationship: communication, communicating your thoughts like honestly, freely, and very clearly, not having them like wonder or giving them mixed signals, but not keeping anything to yourself. And I feel like we've said this we say this like it comes up in every episode, but just making your thoughts clear and putting them out there, that's a really healthy boundary, and you kind of need that to keep your relationship to its best.
Yeah. I have something that kind of bounces off of that. So I read that you need to be able to dictate your own feelings, because a lot of the time, even if there is communication, because you're so close to this person and you're spending a lot of time with them, sometimes you tend to take on your partner's feelings. And like if they're sad, then you're automatically sad. If they're angry, then you get angry. Yeah. So you have to be able to dictate your own feelings. Like, okay, even if my partner is sad, I can feel sorry, or like not.
You understand. You empathize with them.
You can be empathetic towards them, but you can't take on those feelings and make yourself sad.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Because in that case, you're not really helpful to your partner.
Exactly, and the emotions can start to be blurred. So you tend to like speak for the other person, because if they're angry, you want to protect them. So you kind of like. You step in and you say what you're feeling, instead of like being like, okay, what actually do you feel? And let's try to figure it out.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. And yeah, this happens a lot in like codependency. That's what it is. It's literally like you feeling what your partner feels, but it shouldn't be like that, because you're two different people and you go through different emotions and you experience them differently, you know? But like Kathy said, yes.
And you should be there to support them, not like
be in that mindset with them, because then you can't like be from the outside helping them. 100%. But this kind of goes into, well, like similar, but basically like you should be asking your partner what they're feeling versus just guessing. I feel like sometimes we in general, like, yes, people ask, but like you shouldn't assume they're feeling a certain way just based off of like, I don't know, expression or something they've done. Response. Exactly. You should really ask your partner, like, how are you feeling? Why do you feel this way? Etc. Etc. Ask them to explain, like vocalize, because we all process emotions differently. We may like do something that you would associate with an emotion, but that's not the case. So yeah, just ask clearly. I think transparency is like really important.
100%. Yeah. Okay, then I also have something related to communication. So communicate when you're uncomfortable. So at times I feel like when you're in a relationship, you kind of let things slide, because you're like, okay, I don't want to cause an argument. I don't want to like bicker, whatever. Yeah. But like if they say an inappropriate joke, or like something that they view on a certain topic that you're like, okay, whoa, you can't say that, or even something intimate, like voice that you're uncomfortable, because or else they're just going to keep repeating the behavior.
Exactly.
And that anger in you will build, and you're just going to like resent them for it.
I was literally said resentment.
It literally all comes down to resentment. So
yeah, exactly. But yeah, I feel like all of them lead to resentment if you don't do them properly. And not only in romantic, but resentment is in any relationship. So my next one was basically like, you should take responsibility for your choices. So it kind of goes into like blame also. So like, don't blame your partner for how you feel or for what's happening. Ask yourself like how your choices, whether they're like by accident or on purpose, have contributed to your like final result or situation. Like, don't blame your partner for your own choices. Like, I feel like we can do that sometimes, even on our day-to-day. It's like, oh, this happened because you did this, but at the end of the day, for example, if it's like a boundary thing, did you maybe not set it clearly? Did you not vocalize? Always kind of, I guess, introspection and take responsibility and accountability for what your part is. So I think boundaries, that's
I think like bouncing off of that, a lot of the times when something bad happens, let's say because you have a consequence to your action, you just expect your partner to be like, okay, we're gonna get through this together. But like,
it's your mess.
Yes, they're there to support you, but like exactly what Afi said, you have to take responsibility and you have to fix whatever happened.
Exactly. And question yourself, I guess, and how you got to that. Yeah.
Okay, so my next thing is about sexual boundaries. So the biggest thing is when you're in a relationship and you're comfortable with each other and you're like, you're good, you think you're good, sometimes you expect that your partner or you yourself, you have to perform a certain way or like do things that like may please them, but you don't really want to do it. And I feel like you need to take a step back from that and first like have a conversation to lay out like what you're comfortable with.
Exactly.
And then even when you're trying to be intimate with your partner, don't just like, again, let things slide because like you love them and you're like, okay, well, this
pleasing, honey.
This is what pleases them, and if they want me to do it, then like I'll do it because like I love them. Like no, you still need to respect your own boundaries when it comes to like sexual experiences. And don't just do things because they're gonna make your partner happy. Like do things that you actually want to do.
Exactly. Like if they're gonna make your partner happy and you feel pleasure, okay. But if it's just one-sided and it feels uncomfortable, it's not something you feel like is you, or it's going through like passing your limits, then
I think the biggest red flag is like if you feel uncomfortable doing it, obviously do not do it.
Exactly.
And like make sure you're still giving consent to things because like even if you're in a relationship you think you're super comfortable,
yes
like
to everything.
Exactly, you still need to give consent. You can still say no to things. So just remember that.
Exactly. But like kind of bouncing off of that, because I had a category for like physical boundaries, but like just like Kathy said, like it can help you determine like your comfort level with like physical touch and intimacy. So you should be having these conversations because it's not just implied like, okay, once you're in a relationship, like anything physical, like these are
like
really
anything goes.
Yeah, exactly. These are actually really important because like we said, boundaries are different for everyone. And physical touch and intimacy, people have different levels of like, you know, how much they like physical touch, like love languages, you know what I mean? And even like around public affection, like some people don't like PDA, some people do. So you can talk about that beforehand. And sometimes like physical contact can become like harmful too. So that's why you need to set the boundaries and realize like what you're comfortable with and what you're not comfortable with from before. And it also allows your partner to like decide whether, okay, this is, you know, because if they're, you know, that's a non-negotiable for them or they need that, it might, you know, make them realize like what they need in a partner and whether it's gonna work or not. Exactly. Basically,
you know what I just thought of? You know, did you ever watch Degrassi?
A little bit here and there. Okay. The more the newer version, like the newer ones,
so there was an episode that these two people were in a relationship and they had sex. But the girl didn't really want it, and she never said like, yes, let's have sex. Like she didn't give like vocal consent. And she kind of did it. She was like kind of feeling shitty after. She went about her day, and then like after she realized, she's like, low-key, my boyfriend just sexually harassed me. And like that can happen. And I feel like people don't think of it that way because they're in a relationship, so they're just like,
exactly. And consent is not only verbal. There is non-verbal consent, body language, like I'm
exactly.
sorry, but
like she was just like lying there and like
exactly. You can ask like, are you okay? Does this like you have to ask as many times as you need to.
Yeah. So I think it's like it's super.
And don't you feel uncomfy like you yourself if you're having sex with someone that doesn't 100% feel comfortable like that?
Yeah,
that's gross. But I feel like because it's the feeling of it is almost normalized for like the person.
Yeah, but I feel like because sometimes it's expected in a relationship that you have to do it.
I'm not doing anything wrong.
Yeah, so people don't think they're doing something wrong, and on the reverse side, they're like, if you don't want to be doing it, you're like, oh, this is what I have to do because I'm in a relationship with this person, and like it doesn't work that way. Exactly. You need the consent.
Those are not built-in expectations.
Yeah,
you define your expectations from a romantic relationship. Was it who's the character?
It was
Is it
Fiona?
The Indian girl?
No, it was Fiona and I think his name was Declan.
Yes, I remember.
I don't know how I remember the names.
But Degrassi was a good show. Like it actually like touched
I really want to rewatch it.
I want to rewatch it too.
Yeah.
But I'm scared. Like if I'm gonna like it or not.
I think I never watched the old seasons. I saw like the middle seasons. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, me
and
too.
the newer
but
ones.
I feel like the old ones were really I think I started. They're on YouTube, pretty sure.
They are?
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna go on the streaming website.
Oh yeah.
Probably. Yeah. But they should put it on a streaming service. Like people would watch the shit out of that.
But Degrassi, the newer ones were on Netflix. At one point, I'm pretty sure, or maybe no. Am I saying bullshit? Okay, we'll check after. Oh wait, Kathy already said this, but like, expressing your feelings as they belong to you and not your partner's. So we kind of went over that, but it's basically like being able to have your own emotions and not just replicate your partner's emotions just because they're going through something. Yeah. I wonder, like, how does that feel? Like not like feeling. Like being in the state of mind of your partner all the time. Like it must feel...
I feel like, but the thing is that happens very easily.
Yeah,
because
you get attached.
as soon as your partner's feeling a certain way, then because you feel empathetic towards them, you want to feel that way too, and you want to like help them through it. Yeah. So like, if they're sad, then you get sad because you're like, oh, I'm sad for you feeling sad.
Yeah,
you know what
exactly.
I mean? So you kind of have to like
create a clear line and like boundary.
Like, yes, you can feel sad at the same time, but you can't be, like you were saying before, in the same exact mindset because how are you going to help them out of it?
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. And then just like two sad people.
Yeah.
No, we can't have that.
So another one is you need to set clear financial boundaries, which I feel like a lot of people like gloss over. Is that the gloss over? I don't know why I said that.
I don't know.
They kind of like skim over because money makes people uncomfortable. Like
for sure.
Especially when you're talking about it with other people and like your money has to connect in some way.
Exactly.
It's hard to have those conversations, but you need to have them. Especially if like, even if you have two separate accounts or if you have a joint account, but like, let's say you're living together or like you want to get married, you need to clearly communicate where you're going to spend your money and what you're spending your money on. Because like, if you just go ahead and make like a big purchase without not consulting but like
if you're like you're sharing
having
money,
a conversation with your partner, it's kind of like shitty because it's like, why are you buying like a $300 car?
I feel like it depends
car,
what,
you know what I mean?
What step in your relationship we're into. Like if you're living together and you have like, I don't know, maybe
it's more like when you're at that stage when you're living together and it's like you have bills to pay for together and you're spending your money like shopping for things that you don't need. Like it's kind of like shitty and you're putting your partner in a shitty situation because then they have to talk to you to be like, okay, we need to
you need to have your financial goals and expectations kind of on either same page or understanding of each other's, you know. But that's perfect because this kind of goes into like, I had some examples of like type of boundaries and financial is one of them, but I think it's also important to share what you're comfortable sharing in the sense that like you should tell them like, okay, what your spending is like, you know, how you spend your money, how you manage it, but you don't need to give them like specific information or like your credit card info or things like that. But I think it is still important to have boundaries in terms of your finances, like what you want to share with your partner, like if you want to have a joint bank account or not, if they're able to like, I don't know, take money from you or the other way around. So I think it's just creating those limitations around your income and like Kathy said, respecting each other's financial goals and expectations.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So now we'll just go into kind of the types of boundaries, and we've spoken about this, well, in this episode, but also I think previously, but we'll try to make it more specific to like romantic relationships. So first we have digital boundaries, and in this day and age that is important. Yeah. And some of these I didn't even like think of, because you don't like, I feel like it's not taught as much to explicitly like create these boundaries. But for example, you can create limitations around anything digital, like what your computer, your social media, your cell phone, because some people have their partner's passwords and each other's passwords. Well, do you want that? Do you want their email accounts? You know what I mean? Do you want it like their Instagram, things like that? So you define your boundary around that'll really help make it clear, because if you don't set it from the start and your partner expects to have like your information for your accounts, then it's gonna definitely lead into a bit of a conflict. And this can also include like digital communication, so even like sexting and things like that, because in a relationship, obviously some people like to do that. Maybe you're not comfortable with that, so even setting those boundaries on whether like you want them to send you these messages or not, creating like your comfort level. And even posting on social media, that was an interesting one. For example, like whether your partner wants you to post them or not, because some people do not want to be posted on your social media or don't want an online presence maybe. And even this one is more specific, but I didn't think about it, but your status of if you're in a relationship or not. Some people may not like want that.
That's
like
kind of sketch.
Public. Though. Yeah. Kathy's like, what are you that's your boundary? Yeah. No. Xing it up. But yeah, no, for sure. But maybe some people are not comfortable with that, but it's just making it clear, I guess. And sometimes it's hard to think of these like on the spot. Like you literally have to write them down, because I would not think of all of these.
Yeah, exactly. But it's also on the flip side. Like I feel like some people, I feel like mostly on the women's side, but it's like if their partners don't post them. Yeah. It's kind of like what do you hide? Like exactly what I just said. Like, why are you hiding? Yeah, true. Stuff. But like, I feel like it needs to be talked about, because like, I feel like some people just don't post. Yeah, so exactly. Like,
or maybe they don't want people all up in their business, because like the followers of one person may not be, they may not all be mutual friends. And what if like, I don't know, they go stalk you, they find like something like,
I think bouncing off of that, like some people just want privacy. A private relationship, so which if you're nonstop posting about your relationship, like that might make them feel uncomfortable, because they're like, I just want to keep things
all out there. Because social media is cruel. They can like literally be judging you behind your back or something, and you never know. And it's so easy to cyber stalking, cyber bullying, all of that.
Yeah, so. It's like we've been through this. We know when someone breaks up and we check their Instagram to be like, where are the pictures with the boys?
What happened?
Like what happened
and you literally instantly know. Okay, they broke up. That's kind of scary. Like my relationship status,
like, and you're don't need to know it.
Exactly. So you see that's tricky. So that's why it's important to talk about it. The next one is basically kind of touched upon it, but like physical boundaries. Like you should be setting your limitations around your body, and even physical is not only your body, but like your home, like, I don't know, places you work, places you go frequently. I guess it's good to have that boundary in your relationship, so your partner knows like, okay, I don't know, like, am I allowed to show up to their house? Like, can I go in their room or something? Like, because it also depends where you are in your stage in your relationship, but being in someone's house is actually really intimate, I find, especially when you're getting to know them. Like, it can say so much about a person. Like, I don't know, if you look at your room,
your room is your most intimate part of you,
and even your house, because I don't know, it could be different from theirs. They can be creating all these thoughts, assumptions about you. So I think it's important to set those boundaries as well, and including physical. Like we said, you help them determine like your comfort level with physical touch and intimacy. We said this, but like PDA, I already mentioned this. But yeah, it can literally be your body, it can be your home, it can be places you go to. So physical is really like anything in your environment that's like a part of you, if that makes sense. I think it's good. Like, and you don't want your, like, I don't know, what if your partner just randomly likes to show up at work and you're like, this is my professional space. Yuck. You know what I mean? Like,
back off.
Yeah, you're like, I work here, because maybe some people do that, and some people are like, no, like that cannot happen, because that is true. Like, imagine your partner just always comes to work, or like brings you lunch every lunch and like wants to sit with you. Like, I don't know, yuck. Because maybe some people don't even think of like, you know, or you have different expectations on that. So then we have like financial boundaries, which we already mentioned previously, but it's just like discussing level of finances, I think. And it could be a very intimate conversation, because sometimes I feel like you don't expect to explicitly be like, how much money I have, because it's scary.
But you don't need to.
Don't need to, but I think some type of clarity as to like, I think goals are important to share. Like, where are you planning on going with your money? Do you have a plan? Like, even if that's not where you're at, but just seeing if it aligns. Because what if you have a partner that just like blows their money and you're not like that? So you need to kind of clarify that beforehand. You don't need to ask them like, oh, how much money do you have exactly, and tell me, because that's still their personal info, like you said. So they don't need to share that, but just having that transparency, I think, and some level of understanding of each other's.
And I think before we were talking about like later in your relationship when you're moved in, but even at the beginning of the relationship, you kind of have to talk about money, because exactly like you said, you might have different spending habits, but like even if you're going on dates, like, are you the type of person that wants to go to fancy dinners, but like they can't afford that? Ooh. Are you going to always split the bill, or like one time they pay, one time you pay? Like, you have to have those conversations at the beginning just to kind of like set the expectations.
Yeah, exactly. That's very true. And lastly, we just have emotional. So we also mentioned this, but oh no, we actually didn't. Well, a little bit, but limitations like surrounding your feelings, like being vulnerable, like trust. And these boundaries basically like help you determine like how much you want to share with someone, because like some people need more vulnerability than others, right? It's all about like our expectations and boundaries kind of go hand in hand. Exactly. And that's why you need to set boundaries, because it allows them to know your expectations from them. But sometimes people don't want to talk about very, very like, I don't know, traumatizing or deep things that have been happening to them. But if that's something you need, then you need to clarify. And also decide like what type of emotional support you need. Like, as your relationship progresses, you need to determine like, you know, do you need someone that's really gonna be like there for you 100%? Are you okay with someone that's like a bit more passive and like doesn't always ask you about your emotions and isn't maybe the best listener in terms of that? And discuss like what consistency means for the both of you, and do your best to like show up for each other, basically. So that's kind of like in the realm of like emotional support and emotional boundaries.
I think it revolves around like your personality and like how you react to things. And then like you were saying, like the support, like, are you the type of person that you just need to feel what you need to feel, and your partner can't say anything to you because it's not going to make a difference? Or do you need your partner to come with a solution? I think I saw a TikTok, but this couple was saying how every time one of them is feeling a certain way, they have a question that they ask. They're like, okay, are you looking for solutions or just someone to listen?
Right, like moral support.
Exactly. So
that's a good question.
So I think maybe you can do that before like engaging, because like if, let's say I'm like pissed off, I don't like people to like kind of like bring me down. I just need to feel it, and then I'll kind of like
reflect on it later.
Exactly. I'll reflect on it and like go through the thought process myself to be like, okay, maybe I overreacted, or like it was right for me to react this way, but this is the solution to it. Exactly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I think like my overall, like how I see boundaries and stuff is just like, if you're not clear on something, ask. Ask. Don't like boundaries. You are not cannot assume, because if your partner is shy in setting boundaries or just doesn't think of setting them, by you asking, well, sometimes that's the thing, the partner has to do their job and take ownership, I guess.
You can't be dependent on the other person to keep asking you. But
but I mean like take ownership in the sense of like they have to be honest with you, because if you ask and you're like nothing's wrong, you know what I mean, then you're not taking ownership for your part. So that's what I mean in terms of like you need to own up to like whether your part of it is being honest and telling them clearly. But I think asking literally is like the way, if you're not sure, because how you feel about certain boundaries is not the same.
Communication
is key.
Okay, well, we hope you guys like this episode. If you did, please like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, leave a comment, give us some feedback. You can rate us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and also on Facebook. We love to hear feedback, so please go and rate us. We're also available on all the podcast platforms that you listen to, so Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, everywhere else. And you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Wild Thoughts Pod and follow us individually. Everything is linked down below as per usual. We'll also have our other boundaries episode links. So that's going to be more general boundaries and friendships and family. And I think we touched a little bit on relationships. So if you just want to listen to that, you can. And that's about it. So we'll see you in the next one. Bye.